live.
We are live.
All right. Good morning. Sweet.
We are live.
Hey.
I see a disclaimer.
I even see the disclaimer, which we finally got around to. I got to go back and put that on the previous episodes.
All right, great. So welcome everyone to the Rebel Finance Podcast. We're doing this one on Tuesday instead of Thursday to accommodate some schedules. Probably do the same thing next week, but the week after we'll be back to our normal time frame. Before we get into our guests, let's talk about what's going on in the market. Big reversal this morning. I think Trump came out and said some positive stuff about tariffs. By the time we're done with this, he could have come out and said some negative things. You know, undercut and rally from the S&P 500 yesterday. So, you know, it didn't start off so good, but we're getting some follow through on the upside today. Remember, tomorrow is Liberation Day. Anything can happen. Just be very, very careful.
What is that, by the way? What is Liberation Day?
Liberation Day. So Trump said he wanted to start tariffs on April 1st. And then he said, oops, that's April Fool's. We're going to do them on April 2nd. And he's calling April 2nd Liberation Day.
Oh, yeah, right. I read that. My bad.
We're going to have equal tariffs with everybody starting then. So God knows what's going to happen, what's priced in. Now, the one thing I would say, and we've been talking about this in our newsletter every day, is what's going on in the market is way beyond just tariffs. Tariffs are one part of Trump's overall economic strategy. You know, and him and Bessent have both said there's going to be turbulence, and they're saying that for a reason, because there is. You know, and again, whether you agree with his strategy, don't agree with his strategy, think it'll work, think it won't, you know, it is what it is, and you've got to kind of trade with that mindset. The other thing that's going on is a total rethinking of AI infrastructure that came out of DeepSeek. You know, DeepSeek, whether it costs $6 million or not, which it probably didn't, doesn't matter, but it's getting people, you know, asking uncomfortable questions about capital expenditures, about, you know, when and if the Mag 7 are going to monetize, and whether we're actually the leader in AI. So, you know, yeah, markets look good the past couple of days. Just be very, very careful out there. Jeremy, any thoughts from you on this?
Yeah, I like to use the word nimble. Us day traders loving
Good
this.
word.
We have derived ways to be more nimble than most in this exact condition. Those of us who lived through the great bear market of 2022, I wouldn't call that a recession or a bear market, really. It's just a big consolidation and correction, but we were nimble, and it was a market condition where you could make a lot really fast as a day trader, but as a swing trader or someone who's looking to be in a contrarian approach to take long-term positions with some insight to be ahead of the market a little bit, that was very, very difficult in that time. Now we're kind of at the precipice where we could go either way. We could see a bigger correction out of this, or we could see the greatest rally of all time. We don't know anything until about after this tariff thing. Is going to be one trigger, but there's other stuff that's kind of ready to be laid into the market that's going to cause more volatility. However, being the contrarian, I see that there's likely going to be a lot more opportunities, at least after this tariff hurdle gets into motion here, and we might see some decent swing trades come out of this. So,
isn't it? It's right now though. It's tough to peg, because usually the market is like cyclical, different industries cycle in and out. And right now it's just very difficult to figure out where are we at and where are we going, because I'm looking at some of the tech stocks that perform quite well, especially ones that are heavy in the AI, and they're just not performing at all.
Yep.
And every time I get ready to take a leap, you know, I'm down, you know, it's down 7-8%. I'm like, well, just wait. And then the retail sector, i.e. like Target, is not performing at all. It's only $9 above its 5-year Mark 5 years ago. $9, 5 years. That's all it's
Wow.
gained.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
they're
so
under.
go ahead.
But then you take a look at some of the policies that some of the larger Fortune 500 companies had, and it's coming back to bite them. I think the saying went, "Go woke, go broke," and now you're seeing investors, institutional investors, who basically are saying, "No, you guys lied about how you were being affected by these various agendas that you took on," and so that's what you're starting to see play out in some of these investor lawsuits against large corporations who had DEI and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I think what you're noticing is a couple things. Before the DeepSeek news came out, I think people just took it as a leap of faith that the Magnificent Seven stock spending billions on AI was going to be great for the entire sector, that they were going to be able to monetize that, they were going to get, their investment back and then some, and that we were the leader in AI. And now all of that is being put into question. The AI stocks got bubbly. Any bubble is always searching for a pin, and DeepSeek news was the pin. And then I think, what you're seeing on the consumer stocks is really a two-tiered economy where, for the past couple of decades, our economic policy, has been, eviscerate the middle class and make the wealthy wealthier. And you've got, which is why you've got some people out there saying, wow, the Biden economy was the best economy ever, while, everyone ended up voting for Trump because, the middle class and the poor, it was the worst economy ever. But if you're an asset owner, your house is going up, your business is going up, your stocks are going up. And so, you're seeing that with the department stores where, yeah, the GDP numbers look fine, but, the average person out there doesn't have two nickels to rub together.
Exactly.
Do you think it's ironic that the general public is basically, or this movement against saving our economy, saving fraud? I just think I find it kind of ironic that people are pushing it back against what's going to ultimately save the money, as well as save our country.
You mean the Doge stuff?
Talking Doge?
The Doge stuff,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you've got is there are a group of people who have benefited quite a bit from, the spending, who are pushing back, and, and they're able to mobilize, whether it's ideologically or whether they're financing, a rebellion movement. But I think if you ask most people, hey, do you object to, looking at every single thing the government spends and questioning it, they wouldn't. Could you argue, oh, you're going too fast, maybe Elon Musk isn't the guy? I mean, yeah. But I mean, yeah, how can you argue, let's make sure there's not waste? I mean, whenever you have a politician say, hey, everyone should pay their fair share, it's like, hey, I'm willing to, but as long as you tell me it's, not going to a puppet show in Iraq, I'm happy to. But if you're telling me, hey, I need to pay more because, the puppet show's got to do a two-a-day, well, no. I mean, I run a business, I have employees. I'd rather hire somebody here than do that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I was going to add in a little bit.
Hold on, Pat, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah.
Let me.
We should
Okay.
do that.
All right,
Sorry,
guys.
we're bad at introductions.
All right. So the guest of honor here is Kris Humphries and his dad, William. Kris, ex-MBA guy, really good friend of mine. Know these guys from way back. We can get into that later. But Kris, I'm going to ask you a question. Let's just hit on what Matt said. Kris owns, I'm going to read off what I pulled off Zoom. Let's talk about it. So the Humphries family initially planned to open 10 Dave's Hot Chicken locations in the Twin Cities area. Are you still on track for that? And why don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, well, we're actually slotted for 18 right now. So we basically own the entire state of Minnesota. Dave's got like a cult following, started in California where you guys are at.
It's huge out here, dude. People like drive like to the Dave's, like, you know, in the valley to go get hot chicken, dude. Trust me. It's like a
Chicken
cult. It really
tenders,
is.
sliders, fries, shakes. It's really good product. Has been unbelievable for us. We've been involved in a couple other brands, and this by far blows it out of the water for our experience. The following, the numbers, the success, just it's been great. And we got into food business back in, what was it, Dad, 2008?
2009 as we took over St. Cloud.
2009, we bought the first Five Guys in the state of Minnesota, and then built out Five Guys throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin, and sold that last year. And Dave's was such a great concept, great hit. It's going so well that it just didn't make sense to focus on another brand. They always say keep your main thing. So when you find what works, just repeat.
Pat, is that why you eat so much of the Dave's hot chicken? You can tell.
My dad might, but special occasions for me.
let me ask you a question, Kris. Right? So we've talked a little about restaurant inflation, et cetera. I mean, how does that, like, prices going up, all this? So let's say your lettuce has been going up, your burgers prices have been going up. Like, talk about that a little bit, and like how you pass that on, or how that's playing out.
Our bottom line is directly impacted by, obviously, labor, food costs, especially chicken, because we sell so much chicken. But ultimately it gets passed through to the consumer, which is just basic economics. And we're looking back, we sold Five Guys about a year and a half ago. Looking back now, the pricing on Five Guys is it's so expensive. It's like it's like a full service burger experience. So that gets passed through in their processes. The labor is pretty high, and there's a lot of things that contribute to that, but it ultimately just gets passed through to the consumer. And some brands just can't keep raising prices. They just, eventually people are like, well, that's just too expensive. I can't afford to go do that. But with Dave's, I think we're still really competitively priced, and relative to the market and what people are spending their money on food wise, you don't get a lot of complaints about pricing. So that's been great.
Are you seeing your costs go up now, go down, stay the same? I mean, any change since the new administration has come in?
Since Trump has come in, I would say, what, Dad, chicken's probably down some, right?
Our commodities have gone down a little bit, but
Yeah.
the best part is that with the promise of it bringing more domestic control with the tariffs and everything, I think it's going to have a really positive impact, because it's going to put more people back to work, which when you do that, when you have people at work, I think inflation tends to take a backseat because of affordability of things is there for the common worker, versus when you have this big gap in the market between rising prices and unemployment. You got people who can't afford it, whether it's $5 or $20. So,
during COVID, we had this big boom in like the cost of labor. I mean, it was insane for a while.
Yeah.
I'd be at the gym and I'd be like, talking to some high school kid, like, yeah, I'm thinking about working. And I'm like, great. You want to work? At the time we had a salad concept. You want to work there? And he's like, how much? Like,
Yep.
I mean, what, we need some people. We'll pay you $20 an hour, or we'll do whatever, like, just like starting $20 an hour, kids 16, 17 years old. And they're just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could work over here, or like, it's a little far, 20-minute drive. I don't know. Like, you're literally begging people or giving people like, hey, just go fill in. I'll pay you in cash. Like, people are just, they had the ultimate negotiating chip of like, hey, I don't need to work.
Right.
So, I mean, that just drove prices insane. And then after the labor thing, like the food costs, everything went up. And I think it kind of squeezes a lot of smaller businesses out because, you know, small business feels all those things the most. Cause like, if, you know, if you're a part of, say, something with 1,000 units, a franchise, you're getting the best pricing on everything, right? But mom and pop who have one restaurant, they're paying like way more for their chicken, anything they're buying, they're paying way more. So it's just kind of sad to see a lot of those family run businesses and different small businesses close because of the fact that just the big got bigger and, you know, they could hold on, you know?
Yeah, it was sad to see that consolidation. Forgive my Google facts, but I noticed two things that stood out to me about your business in particular. And Google tells me you guys use a soybean-based oil to fry the chicken in, which is phenomenal. That's you know, going to be much more accessible to those with allergies to peanut oils, where typically a lot of southern fried chicken places, even around here, will use peanut oil. Same with Five Guys. The other thing is that Google told me it was halal. For real? That's
halal, yes.
Wow.
The way they ethically slaughter the chickens makes it
really?
halal.
So that puts it in. I mean, would that be a consideration for taking this into a global market space, you know, rather than just a domestic one? Because I mean, I know
We are global. We are global.
I know fried chicken's pretty popular over there in Abu Dhabi already. So
Yeah, and because it's halal, that means we attract you know, people who eat that way, the Muslims and things like that.
yes.
So we tend to say that our food appeals to everyone.
Well, the interesting part is I asked the founders who started in you know, outside the Hollywood Bowl doing chicken tenders after concerts and whatnot, like, why did you choose halal, blah, blah, blah. And it was just basically, we just went and found the best chicken we could find. And
Oh, really?
the most. So there was nothing initially behind it. It was just, what do we like the best? And they went with it. So
I mean, quality wise, it's good stuff. You know, I love it.
yeah.
The fact that it's even more marketable in a much wider market space, that's all the better. And I can kind of relate, you know, chicken strips and chicken fingers and stuff built off of that product base. It's huge. I mean, you talk to any kids you've ever taken to a nicer restaurant, and you know, hey, you want this porterhouse steak? No, I want the chicken fingers. You know, it's
I'll take the porterhouse.
right. That's for me.
Jeremy, if I had to guess, I'm looking at everybody on this deal. You're the guy that might be into crypto out of this group, huh?
I scalp crypto related stuff often. Sometimes I'll take a position in related stuff for a longer term. Currently, I'm trading a Matthew's leverage product, MSTU, with an income strategy.
That MSTR?
No.
No,
Okay, so Matt, why don't you tell Kris all our
MSTU.
crypto products just so he knows the truth on this.
Yeah, so we run a 2x long and a 2x short micro strategy ETF. So Jeremy's talking about our 2x long version.
Yes.
We also have 2x long and short spot Bitcoin, 2x long and short spot Ether. We have a 100% crypto, 100% precious metals, so it's levered ETF. And we also have 2x long Robinhood, which is crypto adjacent. And I filed for 2x on like Trump coin, Melania coin. I mean, the top 10 market cap coins.
Wait, so you're doing that on meme coins?
I filed for it. I'm not doing it right
Right.
now, but we've got a filing out there that, you know, unless
Get your disclaimers right, brother.
Oh, I know.
Get your disclaimers right.
Well, and also 2x, you know, the underlying goes down 50% in a day. We go poof. So yeah.
That could be very drastic. So when you're talking about MSTR, like that's already levered, what? Is it 10x, 10
Something like
times,
that.
40
To
times?
Bitcoin, yes. And we're 2x to that.
So that's like,
Rocket fuel on jet
you want to
fuel.
gamble, let's go, baby.
So
Well,
that was up until recently, according to the guys at Bloomberg, the most volatile ETF on the planet. Not on the planet, sorry, in the US. You can do 3x, 4x, and 5x overseas. Someone just did a
what are you seeing for
quantum.
like pullback when, you know, Bitcoin went from 108,000 to low 80s? Like that's insane, right? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, there are good parts about running a 2x levered and inverse ETF shop and bad parts. So like the other day, when was it the market went down? Was it Friday? I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think at the open, we lost $700 million in assets under management just from market movements at the open. Now, you know, we could, you know, Trump comes out on Liberation Day tomorrow and says, just kidding on tariffs. We could add $1 billion on
I don't
assets
think
under
that's going to
management.
happen.
I don't think that's
too
going to
deep.
happen either.
He's too deep.
I take a different approach to that levered volatility with MSTU. I run an options income strategy on it. So I weigh the amount of premium I've earned over time selling options on both covered calls and cash secured puts against my initial cost basis for taking the long in a position. Currently that tracks to $2.64 a share, and I've only been trading it since the end of, let me see here. Yeah, the end of February there, 28th. So that doesn't take long to cut my cost basis down to much less than half the current share price. It's trading at $6.14 right now. So it's never about what you trade, it's about how you trade it for me. And it's taking advantage of everyone else's gambler mentality, so to speak. I'm selling speculation to people by selling options. I don't want to say I'm a casino, but it's like being a casino. You know, you're right.
You're the house.
Right.
You're the house, you mean?
You're selling options on cryptocurrency?
No, on
No,
MSTU.
he's selling puts. He's selling puts and calls. He calls it a wheel strategy on, you know, kind of aggressive stocks. So stock goes down, he sells the puts, rallies, sells the calls, you know, kind of
Look at
brings
that.
in income.
Pat's been studying.
No, dude, I know this stuff.
Let me tell you my strategy.
I just play stupid.
If Pat can learn it, anybody can learn it.
Do you know the monster option guys?
I've heard
Nigerian?
I've heard the name.
Nigerians.
Yeah, that's your friend, right?
Yeah, that's my friend. Yeah, my friend is Peter. Peter is of the two brothers.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I used to run an inverse Cathie Wood ETF, and he went on CNBC one day and started talking it up. And I mean, we saw massive inflows that day. So yeah, I do have to thank him for that.
Well, this is a good spot to digress here. Pete Nigerian, right? So William and I both went to University of Minnesota, right? William's much older than me, obviously. And he was ahead.
I didn't think it was that obvious.
He's lying.
You're both bald, bro. Come on.
Dude, I have hair. Why does everyone say this? I just cut it, bro.
Yeah, I know that.
So I was actually at Drexel Burnham as a cold caller. It was like one of my first jobs, and William was already a broker. And one day there was a party, like a Christmas party, and you know, all the guys were on one side of the room, all the brokers, and all the ladies were on the other side of the room, except William was in there singing like some kind of Motown song. So I walked in there, and ever since then we've been friends, right? So now Kris went to University of Minnesota, played for the Celtics. So Kris, why don't you talk about the Celtics a bit? You know, Matt's from Boston; he's a Celtics fanboy, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
Well, I got traded from Brooklyn to Boston for KG, Paul Pierce. There's some other people in that trade. So I kind of ended up there just because, you know, they were making a deal. I don't know if they ever really wanted me, but I did start some games and, you know, actually played decent there, but it was a rebuilding.
Hey, good.
But Boston sports culture is unbelievable. Fans are passionate. You guys are lucky that all your teams are pretty good. You know, I was telling someone the other day, I was like, man, could you believe that like some people got to grow up in the Tom Brady era, living in Boston it's just insane. Like, you're so spoiled. You just, you know, you have no idea what it's like to be like a Vikings fan, or, I mean, it's just like football in your mind is just completely different than anyone else. I don't even, I hope you guys lose for the rest of your life and you're tortured, you know, because it's just like, you've been so spoiled. You're really lucky. Good for you.
And it wasn't just football. I mean, that 20-year period, you know, when the Patriots weren't winning, it was either the Celtics or the Red Sox or the Bruins.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's
Papi.
been awesome. No one better than Big Pop.
Yeah, but to win 7 Super Bowls though, or no,
Yeah.
six.
Yeah, six.
Yeah, insane.
Brady got one in Tampa, but yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I enjoyed Boston. I wasn't there that long, and you know,
Great trade though for the Celtics that got us Tatum and Brown.
Unbelievable trade. That was a horrible trade for the Nets. I mean, they gave up. Yeah, I mean, the Nets would have those players on their team, and the Nets would be. I mean, they wouldn't have had to been soul searching after that, trying to get all these guys going for home runs with, you know, the KDs, the Hardens, you know, trying to force it. They would have done it through the draft and ultimately been in a way better place long term.
Wasn't Celtics like your best year though? I mean, really statistically,
No,
and you were
no,
like sixth
probably the
man of the
Nets.
year.
No, the
No?
Nets.
The Nets,
Well,
yeah.
get out of here, Pat. You don't know me, bro. You don't know
Well,
me.
no, but I remember like Celtics were pushing for sixth man of the year, and they had like a thing where they called you the Hulk or something, and they painted you in green or the Green Monster or something
that
like
was
that.
that was in New Jersey when they were trying to, when I was up for like most improved player.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I
But you saw the green and you went to Celtics. Yeah, I get that.
No, yeah, well, that was a long time ago. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
well, for you Boston fans, I have a jersey from Big Papi signed by him and Tom Brady.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
He's a big memorabilia guy.
So
I'm a
last thing,
memorabilia
right?
guy.
Last thing. So, Kris, you know that Kris, you were like a top swimmer when you were like 10 years old, right? 9, 10. Yeah.
People love saying that. Yeah. If you Google it, you know, I used to swim against Phelps and those guys. And I actually didn't even know who Phelps was until, you know, he became the Olympian. Cause I was like, I don't really remember that guy. I had to go back and look, but he was good. I was just the best, you know, but you know, it's kind of funny. Cause it's like, yeah, we were 10, but you know, I don't know. Other people seem to think it's way cooler than I do. You know, I think I made the right choice going the NBA route, because you literally would had to Ben Phelps to really make, you know, real money. And, you know, basketball is more exciting. Swimming's a really tough sport to train for. And it's, you know, I don't know.
The risk to reward just wasn't there.
Risk.
Hey, and some of us
there's one spot for a male athlete in swimming to,
right,
you know, do really well. Basically,
and a lot for basketball.
All right, last thing I'm going to say. I've been meaning to write this out. You know, I'm going to just comment, Matt. I want you to say something about this. So I believe that you and Matt, my boss, Matt Tuttle here. Matt Tucker's someone else, by the way. Matt Tuttle here
he's been called worse.
No, it's someone else. Trust me. Are like a lot alike. Right, you're both very clear-headed. You're both accomplished. You're both goal-oriented. What do you make of that?
I get that, but you know, going back to crypto quickly, you know, I wouldn't say friends, but I've known, you know, the Winklevosses for a long time. I went to a hockey game with them back in 2012, I think, 13, somewhere around there. They were talking about Bitcoin, whatever. I wish I would have bought it then. I got into Bitcoin, crypto, you know, 2016. They told me this, because I used to run Bounce Ideas out. Hey, should I invest in a crypto mining operation in, you know, North Dakota and this and that? They said, own the actual asset, because, you know, those are still businesses. And if the asset's doing poorly, that business for sure is not going to work. If the asset's doing well, the business may still not work because it's still business. But so since like 2016, I've just held crypto, and my advice to people, I know that you guys like these leveraged stocks and all this, is just actually hold the asset. You know, why not? Can we talk about that?
It's the long-term base for what I tend to do is like I'll put distribution from all my short-term trades into my long-term holdings, and I don't happen to hold Bitcoin, but I do hold a lot of related stuff in long-term income strategies. Going down the line towards owning the asset, that's absolutely the truth. I mean, when you own the asset, you not only have essentially the line that everything's going to be based off of, but you have the best leverage point to take in income strategies from it. So I mean, that's kind of my MO. Going into like expanding into super long-term stuff, I like to call stuff that I'm planning to hold 10, 15, 20 years. That distribution would be into something like that. So when I can, buy whole coins of stuff, I will get into owning more of it. But for now,
Kris, you were in the Gemini private placement, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit. Can you, or they let you, or how did you get into that?
That's why I said, yeah. I don't really know what I can talk about or not, but
we're not the cops, bro.
Yes,
Matt might
be. But this is available to anybody who wants to listen, including regulators. So
yeah.
Don't say he can't say anything. All right, so let's skip that. But you are in the Gemini private placement, you and your pops. So this is a good segue to what I really want to get into.
Wait, Pat, hold on. Let me address crypto first.
Yeah. Oh, please.
Yeah.
So I believe that we are entering a golden age for crypto. I think the Bitcoin spot ETF was a game changer because, not everyone is going to open up a Coinbase account or an account at, some crypto broker and own the actual coin, but putting it into an ETF now makes it available to everyone. It also makes it available to financial advisors who may not be comfortable. You go to your broker, your advisor, hey, I want crypto. I don't want to put it over here, but I'll buy this ETF.
You know why? Because they don't get fees if you take money out of your account.
I got
on your own.
And
not only that, the greatest thing about the ETFs and whatnot is that people can now trade it in their retirement accounts tax-free, move in and out. Yeah. And I've always told people, I'm like, God, that's the greatest thing ever. Cause like you hit a big lick, boom, diversify out into something else. Which, I mean, I think that's the biggest game changer. If you talk to the average guy over 50, I'd say that's involved in crypto, it's all through their self-directed IRAs or whatnot,
What about guys over 70? We're looking at.
I don't really know that many people over 70 into crypto, but
Berkshire
Hathaway said that they were going to get some crypto.
This was William we're talking about up here, bro.
I thought we were talking about you, Pat. So wait, hold on. A couple more things on crypto. We also have obviously a president who's pro crypto. We have a crypto czar. We have an SEC that is way more open. I've told this story before, but in 2021, we tried to file for just a 1x inverse Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC told us immediately to withdraw. A couple months ago, I filed for 2x Trump coin. No one said a word.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so totally different regulatory environment. And then you've got more and more companies, GameStop the other day, who've announced they're going to take some of their corporate money and buy Bitcoin. So, yeah, I mean, it hasn't been going anywhere. Having a decent day today.
So
but,
can you
at some point, it's going to take off. Yeah.
Can you answer a question, Matt? So why is it that the institutions out of one side of their mouth goes, oh, this thing is going to blow up. It's no good, blah, 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 blah. That's their public persona when they talk about crypto. But on the backside, they bought $1.5 billion. They got $2 billion. They're steadily accumulating cryptocurrency. But at the same time, they're telling the general public, don't do it. Are they trying to market position themselves?
I mean, they could be, I think a lot of what's out there is corrupt. I think you also, for whatever reason, and you could put on a tinfoil hat and speculate about a, central bank digital currency and things like that, World Economic Forum stuff. But there was a war, for a while on crypto, on people in the crypto business. They were debanked, crypto
Right.
exchanges. The last SEC did not want to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. They had no choice. There was going to be a lawsuit that they were going to lose. It wasn't them looking at it and saying, hey, all right, we've done our homework. We think this is good. It's like, hey, we can't stop this anymore. And, people have speculated that, again, they wanted a central bank digital currency and didn't want, all of these, outliers out there that people were using. And, now that's flipped, completely on its head. And we've got a whole bunch of new people in who have a whole different view on this stuff.
I'm always thinking like I own a lot of apartment buildings. It's like, when are people going to start paying their rent in crypto and whatnot? It's because
Would you take crypto at one of your stores? Like, did they ever talk about that?
Well, the POS systems, whoever processes all the payments, they would just instantly convert it to
Right.
whatever we
So it's
need
pretty
anyways.
straightforward. Yeah.
So it's really irrelevant for the actual business owner, because it would just get converted to,
Unless
still,
we were
we would
just
100%.
accumulating.
Did you ever talk about
so-
stable coins, Chris? You know what those are? We had a little talk about
Yeah,
stable coins
I
last
have-
week.
I have
Yeah.
stable coins.
Yeah.
I mean, move into a stable coin if you're waiting to. I think stable coins were initially like,
You're waiting to die.
well, I think they were invented because, like, does anyone know for sure if when you move from Bitcoin to Ethereum, whether that's a taxable event? Like
Right.
nobody really truly understands taxes on crypto.
Right. And that's a big reason why I don't hold much of it, because it is a pain in the butt to file my taxes. I file my own, and yeah, it's a lot. My take on it is, if you want to park it in something, I kind of compare that to like people parking assets in gold as a hedge or a safe haven. Kind of the same thing. It's a utilitarian thing. Of course, the BTC is going to be volatile. So is the U.S. dollar, and realistically, those are going to take bigger swings than things like gold and stable coins would. So it's kind of like a place to put things to wait out volatility, if you will. At the same time, they're utilitarian. They can be used for transacting. So.
Right. Well, that's kind of more the discussion. But all right, so let's move forward, right? So Gemini is reported exploring an IPO. We talked about IPO. So William, you said you were in the Newsmax IPO yesterday, right? Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, here's what I'm kicking myself for, is because I follow Newsmax and whatever. I could have gotten in on the private placement easily.
All right.
The barrier of entry was $5,000. That's all. And I was like, should I just take a shot?
So what happened to that stock yesterday? Like, stopped trading like 4 or 5 times, or where did it price? What happened?
It's also up 85% right now. It's last price was 154, high 193, low 114.
That's nice. That's my kind of trade.
Yeah.
And where did you sell it?
Oh God, you don't want to know 15.
Oh, dude.
You leave money on the table sometimes, man.
I had 2,000 shares.
Oh, it's a story of my life, bro. Trust me.
Oh my God.
I have a policy with stuff like that. I will liquidate half the position if I achieve 100% gain, so it covers my risk, and then let some of it ride and peel it off in stages as it goes. But that's just kind of a day trader thing.
Well, this is a huge slap in the face of all.
If you sold your 2,000. If you sold your 2,000 right now, you'd have $308,000.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you, buddy.
So just so you guys know, everyone out here, William and I used to trade IPOs in size, right? And then Chris got involved, and we're kind of this IPO family over here, right? So I thought we'd talk a little bit about IPOs today.
Have you ever done an ICO? You know
what's that? Oh, initial coin offering.
Yeah. Initial coin offering.
Oh,
how's that? So let's talk about that a little bit.
So my friends that got into crypto, that got me into crypto in 2016, 15, 16, they did the ICO on Ethereum.
Nice.
I don't know what year it was, but like just hit big back then. And then they did the ICO on Chainlink as well, which
I know that one.
I didn't get into Chainlink.
We have a 2X on Chainlink, Tommy, by the way.
We filed for it.
Filed or not.
Oh, you have a 2X on Chainlink?
Yeah, I know the cops are watching.
For it.
That's one of my biggest holdings. I bought Chainlink at like 10, 11 cents. At one point it hit $52. I sold probably half on the way up and still own a bunch, but that killed me right there.
You know what's so funny talking about Chainlink? I met with some guys from Chainlink about a month or two ago, and I was actually going to send something Chainlink sent me today to Matt, but I thought I'll send it to him later. But the nerdy stuff about Chainlink is they tokenize assets. So in theory, that's the future, blah, 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 blah. But I would think you could tokenize like whiskey barrels or whatever, and you could put those in an ETF or something.
They do a lot with like smart contracts and whatnot.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So those guys, yeah. So ICO. So I did an ICO on this coin called what was it called? AppCoin. The first night I didn't sleep. I got it at like 4 cents or something. It went up to $1.80. Just crushed it. I sold off half. Luckily, I sold off half. That's why, Jeremy, I like your strategy. Sell half. I sold off half. I had to pump a bunch of gas into the transactions. If you know what gas is, it incentivizes the miners to push the transaction through when it's really backlogged, because they take what they get paid on first in process, right?
Okay, go ahead.
The gases. So sold off half, made a bunch of money, and today the coin doesn't even exist.
Oh, really?
Oh, you got to sell half. I love that strategy. Go ahead, guys.
I did a similar thing. I got in late after the ICO by about
William,
6 or 8
we got a
weeks.
little noise, bro.
Yeah, we have a background.
Can we tell where that's coming from?
I think it's William.
Yeah, mute your computer, buddy, if you're checking your voicemail.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second, Larry.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, there we go.
I did a similar thing with SHIB, and I got in really low. I didn't get like a massive position that I wanted. I was a little bit low budget at the time, but I mean, who can say you hold 1 billion shares or something? And I did exactly that, only it was 200% where I cut half. So I locked in a 50% gain overall. So I owned it at that point for a negative cost basis. I like to keep track of cost basis into anything I trade. And I got out with the rest of it around 4,000%. It's insane. And I was just, I was happy that I developed that strategy early on, because that gave
So why
me,
are you working right now, buddy?
right? I'm still doing this because, one, I love to be able to do it. Two, I'm building capital to eventually retire, in a place where I can be very, very happy.
Chris's house.
Yeah. And
Grow up.
it's taken points where I've started out trading with like nothing. I started with a $5 bill and a free share of CHK on Robinhood. I was a guy working 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck, and slowly but surely I was able to supplement half of my income over time. So I started working part time, and then eventually I built up to a position where I was able to not have to work at all. And I got bored. I wanted something to keep me busy doing stuff. So I got hooked up with Bullish Bears for 5 years. Teaching everything I learned along the way. And also
That's after you realized your NBA career wasn't going to happen.
Right. Yeah, this was long after the
Chris,
Butterfingers thing.
Yeah.
Chris, you still own a Rolls Royce, man?
Yeah. Ghost.
Yeah, why? That's nice, right? All right,
Nice.
so let's talk about IPOs. This is what's coming. Stripe, Databricks, Klarna, Shine, Discord, CoreWeave just came, eToro.
You think all that stuff is going to be coming? The IPO market's coming back?
Well, I mean, here, I'm just going to quote, Bloomberg reports there's an opening of the floodgates, quote unquote, in the IPO space. So we have an IPO fund, right, Matt? Or is that SPAC fund, or how's that work?
It
Can we
is
get IPOs?
It is the SPAC and new issue ETF, which means we can buy IPOs. We did not get any Newsmax, unfortunately. If we had, I would have sold it at 154. Sorry, William.
Right.
You know what? I probably would have sold it at 15. I would have
Exactly.
seen it up $5 and would have been like, oh my God. this is
Having
great.
sit on this, right? I mean, you can live and die by this if you trade IPOs, but I am always someone who likes to sell in the open and just take what's there. But, and usually that works. But there are those couple times, man, where you're just like, God, it's
Pat,
beyond
the
depressing.
the reason
it's
why
like
you have that-
suicidal depressing.
The reason why you have that strategy is that's your whole life. See, I feel like from a retirement or
Here
a
it
living
comes, bro.
basis,
Here it
from a
comes.
living basis, you'd have
I knew it was coming.
You need to have 3 buckets of income, right? For me, it's the restaurants, multifamily real estate,
I love that way
and
of
then
thinking.
stocks, crypto, whatever. If you lose one of them, you still go on. You don't need to sell the Rolls Royce. Everything's all good, bro. So you got to diversify out.
I'm the inverse of that. I started with nothing and made it into something slowly.
Well, no, this is funny because this is what I said about you and Matt. You guys are similar. Like you're very clear-headed, very well like organized and structured. You do all the right things. I mean, there's there's also the regular people out there too. You know what I mean? That aren't like as as.
Well, that's actually why your guys' 2X fund is very appealing to a regular person, because if you want to go long Bitcoin and MicroStrategy at a 2X, have 10
That's what
grand
Matt
or
says.
something, you're getting a fraction of a Bitcoin. Why not lever it up and gamble on it? So
Matt, why don't you tell Kris what you do with your own dough? Just real quick.
Well, I mean, that's different. We have an investment philosophy. I'm writing a book about it called The H.E.A.T Formula. But what I do is I use AI to help identify what are today's best themes, what are going to be the best themes tomorrow, what are the best stocks within those themes. But then I'm a trader. So, I mean, I'll look at the charts and I'll decide, all right, hey, NVIDIA, I mean, everyone knows NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is going to be the winner of the AI theme. I'm not just going to buy it. I'm going to look at a chart and be like, all right, when's a good time to buy NVIDIA? So right now I'm not in NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is obviously a stock I would be in if it made sense. Just this morning before we got on the call, I bought Meta just because it broke back above the 200-day moving average and it's up some ridiculous amount since I bought it, which is pretty cool.
So you're a buy a stock at its all-time high guy? Or what?
No, I am a buy a stock when it's in a downtrend and an overall uptrend. So
show them a chart of what you just bought, man. So you get the mean reversion thing, the 200-day thing. This. I love this, by the way. This is the best part of the show, Kris.
All right, so here's Meta. And you can see Meta went from 740 to basically 550. And then what happened is this morning, before we got on this, I saw it here break above this red line, which is a 200-day moving average. So I bought it on the break and I bought options on it. So probably somewhere around 578. And now it's at 588. So that's when I would look to buy it. I wouldn't be buying it up at 740.
Nope.
So we used to, when me and my dad used to trade more, he still trades a lot, but we used to go long, sell it, then mess with options, take about profits, buy options. The interesting thing is I've had swings in crypto, $1 million swings in a day, right? Just down $1 million, right? But it hurts worse to be down like 2 points on a stock for me, because crypto it's real, but I've been holding it so long. My cost basis is so low that it just does not feel the same.
Right.
Like trading stocks for me, man, that is stressful. That's stressful. I don't know how you guys do it. It's stressful.
It is and it isn't. But I mean, I've taken and honed day trading skills and turned them into something that's universal to every time frame. So I can take swing trades and long-term investment trades and do the same thing with a universal application of how to analyze it.
You know what a good example of the stocks, crypto and all of that, the different prices is when you go to a casino, you sit down in a penny slot machine or you sit down in a dollar slot machine. I bitch, excuse the language, but I bitch about losing pennies the same as I do dollars. It's the craziest psychology. I lost 12 cents and I'm ready to break the machine. I'm like, this is crazy. And
I gamble to have fun or gamble with friends. Someone said like, oh, you got all this money, why don't you go and gamble, blah, 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 this or that, big. And I'm like, well, the problem is, for me to win an amount that I care about, I would have to bet an amount that I care about.
Right.
that I care about losing. So it's like, it's never really gambling. I've never really got hooked in gambling. Poker, I love just from the social aspect, but
Yeah, same.
it's like, yeah, I'll lose whatever I can get out of my debit card or something like that out of the ATM. But, am I taking markers and doing that whole thing? Not really,
I mean, that
Right.
brings us to an interesting, I think, question. And we were talking about this a little bit before, but I know that in Pat, you've got the stats. I mean, most retired professional athletes don't end up doing very well. Obviously, you have. What do you put that down to?
Well, I'd
I
say,
mean, obviously, it's your
it
dad.
starts with your parents and your family and how you're raised. I was raised with financially literate, not illiterate, literate parents. And, we got into the restaurants early on when the stock market was kind of dragging, and it was like, oh, what should we do? Let's do this. And, looking at restaurants, P&Ls, understanding cash flow, just, that kind of applies to almost all businesses, the way that you analyze a restaurant. And, I think when I was playing basketball, it was kind of like, okay, what do I spend? I need to make enough money to make money off my money. That's the goal. So whenever I talk to athletes now, I'm just like, don't worry about investing your first 5 years in the NBA or whatever sport. Just worry about saving as much money as you can. There's a million investments out there. Be safe, put it in safe, secure stuff. But in the NBA, it's kind of sad. There's players that cash out their 401ks early. There's players that take their pensions early. There's players that, all these things that it's like, just like absolutely insane that you do that. Yesterday I was on the phone with an annuity company, and the NBA has an annuity program, and you have to take it at like age 40 or something like that. And it forces you to take it over 10 years. And then, that bridges the gap to your pension. And then, you'll end up with a massive 401k and all these things. So like they do a better job of now making it so it's really hard to screw it up, but you could still screw up the big money, which would still hurt. But most of these guys, unless they really screwed it up, they're at least living a good lifestyle, comfortable.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to say something here that I just forgot to add. And I wanted to give a little shout out to one of our guys, to Andrew Parmet. We call him Parm. Parm says that Matt is like one of the best traders he's ever seen. And Matt has a newsletter out, Kris, just so you know. It's that Matt, you should subscribe. I mean, I've heard that Matt's like the best. I mean, I follow it, but I've heard smarter people than me say he's one of the best traders.
Newsletter on what the trades he's doing and whatnot, or what?
Yeah, we have a daily. Well, tell him, Matt.
Yeah. So we send out a newsletter every day. It's called the Heat Formula. It's based on my strategy. I'll talk about markets. I'll occasionally talk about trades I'm doing if I think it's pertinent. We'll usually do a deep dive on something, and a lot of times we're going to use AI to do that. So, this morning we had AI take a deep dive into AI. What's the future? Physical AI, self-driving, healthcare. Who are the potential winners? Who are the losers? I'll put some educational stuff in there sometimes, especially if I see some stupid, article where, I'll come out and be like, look, this is dumb. Here's how you should really look at this. So there's that. And we are kicking around the idea of doing an actual newsletter where I do tell people, hey, these are my trades. Today I bought Meta. I also bought Snowflake this morning, and I bought, the NASDAQ, and I bought puts on VIX, all of them doing pretty good.
I have a friend who was one of the original Snowflake employees before.
Oh, wow.
He's doing good.
That was a fun trade for a while for me.
Yeah. So Snowflake, here's another one. So yesterday, it undercut the 200-day moving average, closed above. And then, I bought it sometime today early, and, it's not up as much as Meta, but it's up nicely.
It's a
So do you say, like, with all your strategies that you're out trading the market? Like, are you guys up this year? What's going on?
Yeah. And I don't see. I think trying to beat the market is stupid from a number of standpoints. Mostly because, like, if you look at 2000 to 2010, for example, the market was flat. To me, saying, hey, I beat the market, I was up 1%, it's like, yeah, but that still sucks. And you've also got periods like, in 2008, the peak to trough was down 60%. So if I were down 50, I would have beat the market. That still would have sucked. So what I try to do is I try to make money all the time. I don't like losses, so I'm not taking the kind of risks where I could be down 1 million on crypto. I mean, that's just not me. I just want to make money consistently, and I'm agnostic between being long and short. So, I'll typically, I'll always have something on the short side. I don't feel right coming into a day not being short something. And, 8 times out of 10, that hurts you. But, the day when the market's down 3%, you're up. I love those days. So, like, I think Friday, the market was down like 2.5%, 3%. I was up on Friday because I was long hardly anything, and I had some shorts. And, for me, there's nothing better than a big down day in the market and I'm up.
Right. It's
Yeah,
like
but
winning the
it's
12
limiting your
cents at the
upside-
casino,
limiting
right?
your upside on a big day in the market.
Oh, yeah. No, totally.
Are you the guy at happy hour at dinner and everyone's bragging about how much they hit for, and you're like, I was flat today because
I mean, Friday had been a big up day. I would have been down a little bit, but I look at I look at the charts. I look at what's in front of me,
Sure.
and on Thursday, I'm looking at it. I'm like, nothing I want to own, and there's some stocks that I want to be short, and most of the time, and Jeremy would agree. I mean, he's a chart guy as well. I mean, the charts are going to lead you the right way. I mean, what's going on right now with tariffs? I mean, anything could happen. Throw it all out the window because, Trump changed. I don't think Trump's goals are going to change, but how he's communicating could change on a dime. And, and if you're a trader, you're just, I mean, it's something I got to deal with, but it's also why I'm keeping my position sizes right now very, very small. Whereas if there were more certainty, like earlier in the year, I was massively long a whole bunch of stuff because there was certainty. I mean, the market was in an uptrend, all the AI stocks, all the quantum, all that stuff was cranking. Then DeepSeek happened. I got hit on DeepSeek day. I mean, I didn't see that coming, but I de-risked entirely after that. So this whole decline we've seen after DeepSeek, I didn't participate in.
So, William, you look like you're about to say something. No?
What other assets, Matt, do we got going on? You own some real estate, some apartments.
Yeah, Matt.
Are we just stocks? What do we got?
I am just right now a market guy. Obviously, I own my own business. I do have a private investment in a group that also goes out in the asset management space because it's a space I know. I'm a very small owner in a couple restaurants, like very, 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 very small. Real estate. I have expertise more than most people in the market. I don't have expertise more than most people in real estate, which is why I haven't gotten into it. I do believe in diversification. Maybe it's something I'll get into at some point, but I know more than the average guy on the market. That's where my expertise is. So that's where I'm going to concentrate most of my assets.
I've been thinking about getting into real estate too. And I mean, I'm really keen on, price action analysis, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. But, I moved out of my first home and sold it for not much less than I paid for my second home, which is more than twice the size in a different real estate market in a different state altogether. And I was able to kind of analyze the market and see where the market I moved to was down. The market I moved from was near a peak. So it made sense to swing trade the house, basically, and transplant the whole family. And it was advantageous overall. Now, I mean, a comp down the street just sold for about 90% appreciation from my starting price in this home I'm in now. I like to think I could do pretty well getting into real estate, and I can see some things on the wall for there's potentially a pretty big drawback in real estate coming that will provide that opportunity, taking that contrarian approach. So for me, it seems like the natural next thing to do is to diversify my investments long term to include real estate.
Might want to do that now. White House press secretary is taking questions and the market just turned.
Oh boy.
Oh. Okay, so Kris, we're kind of at our limit here. I've been waiting to ask you this question all day since Matt didn't do it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, was I supposed to do
it? No, Matt was. So tell me about NBA trash talk, right?
NBA trash talk?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some players who are known for being trash talkers, you know, the Garnetts, Paul Pierce, I don't know. And then there's some players who just are like silent assassins, but
like Kawhi. Does he ever say anything?
Yeah. God, I don't think I've ever even talked to Kawhi Leonard. Like, you know, like he just doesn't talk.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, the problem with talking trash is you got to be careful who you like motivate. There's so many games that like some people are just looking for a reason to get motivated that night. Like,
right.
Yeah, Glenn Davis against Jimmy Butler, for example.
Yeah, 4 games, 5 nights, and guys are like, oh, I don't really want to play. I'm tired, whatever. And then that'll flip a switch and like, boom, they go. But yeah, I mean, there's been some. I mean, Garnett has to be like just probably the worst of all time. I mean,
you ever meet Larry
he's
Bird?
Saying stuff that doesn't even make sense, or like, you know, just who knows. You know, you're like listening, you're like, what is this guy talking about?
Right.
You know? But most people who talk trash, they're just talking to try to motivate themselves.
Right. Did you ever meet Bird, Matt S? Have you ever met Larry?
I met Larry Bird. I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I might have been like passing when he was working for the Indiana Pacers, probably,
right.
But I haven't spent any time with him. I didn't work
supposedly he was the like most epic trash talker of all time, but
well, yeah, I mean, when you back it up too, there's a lot of people out there saying crazy stuff that aren't backing it up. But you know, Bird was a guy who was, what did he say one night? He was like, felt disrespected that they put a white dude on him.
Yeah. William, wasn't this your cue, man? I've been saving this up for like 3 weeks, bro.
Wait, I forgot what the story. Oh, Kris. Oh, dude, interesting story.
Come on.
Interesting story about Kris. And one of the coaches or what it told me at the U that when Kris dunked on the dude, he ran on the court and went dun 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 dun. Like he's gonna be on Sports Center, and the coach was like, I said, what's wrong? What happened out there? He goes, evidently your son told the kid that did the Sports Center deal that he's going to be on TV, and the kid got pissed. I was like, oh, okay.
Was that in college or when was that?
In college, yeah.
Yeah, Bo Ryan, the coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, long-term Hall of Fame coach, like got in my face after that. And I was like,
really?
I'll kick this old guy's ass, bro. What is he? This 70 years old, 60, whatever years old, running up on me. Like, what is that?
All right. So all right. Last thing.
He's going to kick my ass.
So last thing.
What? Let's go.
All right. Last thing. So Kris is, for whatever reason, just some off the cuff reason, my kid went to Santa Monica High School. Kris was at Santa Monica High School, like practicing, like, because they were practicing there because they were playing the Lakers. I don't know what the deal was. Why were you practicing at Santa Monica High School for one thing? But that was my kid was a senior.
Did I break the basket?
Yeah, you broke the rim there. Yeah, I did, dunking. That was my kid's school, right?
Somebody threw an alley-oop, and I don't know, that just the backboard shattered. Maybe I was a little fat at the time. I don't know, but yeah. They got a new hoop, though. They probably got better baskets.
Yeah, I know, but
I know the Atlanta Hawks covered that one.
Oh, is that what? Oh, you were at the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
Got it. So last thing though. So who of all these teams you consider, if you retired and you were going to retire to somebody, who would it be?
Probably the Nets, you know?
Yeah.
I liked my teammates a lot in Toronto, but probably the Nets.
Yeah.
More importantly, Pat, we got to go offline later and tell me what I should be investing in.
All right, no, that's Matt's
getting a
job,
check
man.
tomorrow, bro.
I'm like Robin. He's
that's how I got into
Batman.
crypto. I got a check for a large amount of money, a refund from the NBA for the escrow holdback based off the profits of the league.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that check. I just happened to be talking to my buddy Eric, who's into crypto, and I just took it, put it in the bank, tell me what to buy, went big.
Right.
Worked out.
No.
You know, let's take some flyers, bro. Let me know.
No, wait. Have you ever seen, last thing, I'm sorry, I keep saying last thing. Have you seen that commercial with Jason Bateman as Bateman? And like, they're so funny. I don't know why. I just think it's classic. Bateman. Have you seen this? Yeah.
You gotta send it to me. I haven't seen it.
Well, what's it for, Matt? What is the commercial for? Are you there?
I think it's State Farm Insurance.
Yeah, no, it's State Farm. Yeah,
I might have
State Farm guy.
Seen that. I might have seen that.
He's yeah. It's a State Farm guy. Yeah. Jake, he saves Jake from State Farm or some weird, stuff like that. All right,
awesome.
Matt, you got anything else, bro?
I think we're good. I mean, this was great.
Chris, thanks, man.
For
I had fun, guys.
William. Well, wait. All right, let me say this, William. So I told William I'd give him if any like brokers out there that are looking to give away hot IPOs, your man's right there underneath. There he is.
Hey, to give you
W. Humphries
60 on a hot deal and have you take down 10,000.
Hot deals only.
Are there any guys like that out there? Yeah.
Hot deals only.
Humphries wants those deals.
No secondaries, no REITs, no preferreds, just hot deals.
There you go.
That's all he wants.
Deal, man. Guaranteed winners.
You want to give out your phone number or anything? Because you're going to get some calls.
Give out your phone number on the internet. That's smart. Well,
that's probably not a good idea.
Email Pat, bro.
I won't do that either.
Yeah. Email me and I'll shoot you over. All right.
All right.
All right. Later, guys.
There you go.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.